This tutorial was filmed on my last Sicilian workshop where I ran through all the different light modifiers for Speedlight. I broke them all down and showed the difference in lighting between the harder light modifiers, smaller modifiers, larger modifiers, with and without fill, so you can see the difference and make a choice for yourself about which is the best portable light modifier to use with your portraits.
He's backlit now, and I can do this a few ways, all right? So I can come in now and I can take a reading on his face, all right, off his skin tone. And when the camera tells me it's correct, I've got ISO 100, shutter speed of 1/200th of a second at f11, all right? And what I get is the skin tone looks underexposed, all right? So we know what to do. We open up because the camera is going for mid-grey, so it's always going to underexpose when you've got light coming towards it. So I can create a good-looking shot by opening up and overexposing. So if I go from f11 to say 5, 6.5, I get a good skin tone. I can even go to there 5, 6.5. Now I've got a good skin tone and I blow out the background, right? So that's just using daylight. Now if I go, right, so you just, and the way I work with ETTL is I set my camera to manual mode. I tell the camera what shutter speed I'm going to shoot at, what ISO I'm going to shoot at, and what aperture I'm going to shoot at. All right, and that's determined by how do you want the shot to look. If you want the background to be blurry, then you open up. Are you going to have action in the shot? Then you want to shoot a faster shutter speed. Is the light very low? Is it dusk or is it night time? Then you need a higher ISO to pick up all the details. So for midday, I'm going to stick to the same settings. I've got 100 ISO, 1/200th of a second, and I'm going to actually shoot with at f11, which is what my camera says is the correct setting to get a nice background. And what we get is it does an okay job of measuring the light, but it's light coming forward, so it's very flat, and you also only get a catch light in the middle of the eyes, all right? The other thing you'll notice about flash is it's really neutral. It's balanced for absolute neutral daylight, so it's a very clinical light. So what I do to counter that is I use a quarter CTO gel, and that takes the edge off. And I'm going to have another go at that shot with the quarter CTO. All right, and you can see a huge difference. That's with the CTO, that's without. See the difference in the, see how cold the first one is?
Yeah,
neutral.
bluish in that one.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very blue, the light.
Yeah.
All right. So without, with. Without, with. Big difference, right? Yeah. So that's the CTO. But say you're shooting and it's an overcast day, and you want to give the impression that it's a sunny day and there's never going to be sun. So there's countries where, like England in winter, there's no sun, but you want to have that sunshiny look where you've got that hard shadow, okay? When you think about it, the sun is just a small light source far, far away. So to replicate sunlight, you want to have a small light source far, far away. So what I'm going to do is my hard sunlight by making a small light source, but it's got to be far away and you want a narrow beam. So what I do is I've got my master sync for my flash that I can control from the camera, and I've got my flash. And the most important thing with this is you want to change the angle of view of the angle of light of the flash. So a flash is like, it'll send out a wide beam, which is great for when you're shooting events and you're shooting wide, and you can actually narrow the beam of the flash. So you can make it very narrow and very hard. So what I do is I just come in and there's a little zoom setting. Hit that and it'll come up to flash, and I'm just going to make my zoom as long as it'll go. And on the 600 on a Canon, it'll go to 200, which is like shooting with a 200mm lens. It's going to give you a very narrow zoom. All right, so hopefully that'll work. So I'm going to get someone to
That's manual.
I've got it full power, I'm shooting manual, and so I've just kept the same settings. I'm at f11 ISO 100 at a shutter speed of 1/200. Hopefully, yeah. And so then I'm just going to open up because the light's dropped a little bit. I'm at 5, 6.5. At 1/200th of a second, and we'll fire. I'll just do one without flash first so you can see the difference. So this is without flash, all right, and then I'm going to now do one with flash, and we can see that's with. It looks like sunlight, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It looks like sunlight.
Yeah.
That?
Wow. Yeah. This is so powerful.
Very nice, isn't it?
And that's got CTO quarter.
And I've put a quarter CTO on that, okay? And it looks just like sunlight. So I can come right back now. It's a small light source. You can make that even smaller by getting a snoot. And so you make your light source even smaller. It's going to give you a harder light. Now, there we go. Sunlight. All right, so another modifier, air sick bag. All right, so we can just put that over the flash. Yeah, the rubber band. And so all we're trying to do is soften the light flow. The good old lacquer band. Okay. And we'll bring that in and we'll have a look at how that looks. So who wants to?
Me to do it?
Yeah, it's your air sick bag.
My sick bag.
So I'll just give you. Come over next to me. Right next to me.
Yeah.
This side, so the lights are the same size.
So you change the zoom now.
Yes, like that. Alright. Yeah. So I'm just going to light him.
You change the zoom.
What's that? Make it a bit wider. So go back to 24 on the zoom. Just all right, so basically what I've done here is just change the zoom on the flash from 200mm to 24mm, effectively making the beam of light a lot wider. So that's just going to give us a wider spread of light. Okay. All right, so again, just over his face. We'll do it like that. So the light's going to go that way, and then we're pushing light that way as well. All right, so. Air sick bag. Yeah. Alright, so you can see there's a little hot spot, so we'll just modify. You're actually a little bit short. That's alright. Just tweak it a bit, and then I'm just going to get you to stand by with that. And that's nicer, and if you get the fall off under the face, let's just try this. Right up close.
So you're on full power?
Yes, full power. Split lighting.
Oh yeah.
Alright, and just do the above again, and we'll just
It's the same.
just above.
Left.
And again, you rest off. Yep.
So here.
Okay, yep.
Okay, so here you can see that I'm actually working the shot. I'm tweaking the position of the light because it's got to be, when it's above the head, it's got to be in exactly the right spot. So I'm actually getting Kim here to change the angle and just move out a bit because the light isn't hitting the face correctly. The best way to do this is to imagine that the light that you're holding is actually a torch, and you want to aim that beam of light onto the face. So that's why where you position the light is very, very important, and it's perfectly fine while you're shooting to constantly make little micro adjustments to the position of your flash. Check the shot and make sure that it's A, getting in the right position, and B, you're happy with how the light looks on the face.
Just like that. And you can do it to the side as well, but just, yeah, alright?
It's too similar to this.
Okay, so this is the Gary Fong. No, not now, that one, yeah.
Same settings.
Yeah, same settings. We want to make sure that we're flat on. Okay.
Yeah.
It out. That's the Gary Fong. See how there's a bit of a shadow?
Yeah.
Gives a crispy look,
Yeah.
but it's quite nice.
So a bit of a hot spot on.
Yeah, so we can just back off a little bit, or I can turn the light down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, move away a little bit, so just come back a little bit. Yeah, that's it. There we go. That's it, split lighting. Split right in close. Okay, so now we've got split. Right. Okay, and then can someone just hold the reflector on the other side?
Thank you so much, Sis.
We'll have like two
Video.
Right, reduce the split. And we've balanced it out and we've opened up that shadow a little bit. See?
Yeah.
Alright?
That's the dark.
Yes. Alright?
Okay.
So, next we've got a grid spot. Okay, and what that does is it just concentrates the light. You just swap him over.
Can you use the modifier on the grid?
What's that?
Can you put the modifier on?
Yeah, I've done that before. I've used the clear bit with the. I've tried everything actually, but I just want to show you the difference in the. Alright, so same settings. That's the grid. It's a harder light. So you see,
Oh, yeah.
see the edge shadow?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to turn the light up so you can see it a bit more. Group. I'm going to put the power up a little bit so you can just see the difference. All right, so, and I'm just going to go up a stop as well. Okay, go back in, just so you can see the difference. There. Harder shadow, and it actually retains the lighting. It's not tighter, but it's a very cool look. All right. So let's do the shot now. So little soft box. This is a little easy box. Just pops up. Octabox, bigger light source. All right. Let's have a look at what that does.
Oh, sorry.
Again, I bring it up and over. Yeah, that's it. And keep it down. That's it. Same settings. Okay, big difference in the transition of shadows, the wrap. It's just a more expensive looking light. You don't get any. Yeah. Okay, that's grid. That's softbox. Yeah. I really like it. And then you can do one of those splits. Come right in. Yeah. Let's just do a buzz. Down, yeah, that's it. And let's just do go back.
I know. Oh yeah.
That's a good headshot light. And it's nice. Alright, so bigger light source gives you just a lovelier light. It just always looks more expensive, and you don't get the hard nose shadows. You get more detail in your shadows. It looks better on the background.
So here you can see the Octabox in action, and this is my favourite way to use it. Beautiful transition of highlight to shadow, very, very soft. It's my favourite light modifier to use with a smaller light like a Speedlight on location. Fantastic for single light portraits. Ideally, you want to have an assistant to position the light, or the other thing that I love to do is I will, if I have to shoot on my own, then you can always position that light on a boom stand or a light stand. The other choice that I love to work with, particularly if I'm on my own or wanting to really light quickly, is I find the Fong Dome Light Modifier as the best all-rounder, because that's great for flash on camera and flash off camera. It's very small. It's not going to attract a lot of attention, and it gives a very beautiful light.